CCCM. Here, when we are working in specifically for CCCM cluster, um, now point we are targeting around 100 camps in Syria out of 400 and more than 400 camps in northwest of Syria. We are proudly that we are responsible for our implementing the camp management methods and supporting the IDBs on around 100 camps by opening offices, field offices in the camps to can response for the IDBs needs and to making the participation of the IDBs in the camps more effectively. Supporting the implementation by hiring the most qualified staff in the field. But most of our staff, they are working now. They have a previous experience in humanitarian before 2011. That most of them, they are certified trainers from Sphere or by disaster management or camp management, that they have already the knowledge and developing. So there are our body, that they have our eyes, that they have the full capacity, and we are trusting in them by supporting them in capacity development intervention for our staff. We are using some of internet apps to organize more our work and supporting them in implementation. We increase the level of the meal system, monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning department to ensure the quality and the implementation is matching the outcomes, matching the international standards, matching the quality standards that we have at point. And now we are working for the or we are working generally, not now, generally in the community-based approach. Why community-based approach? Because we see when we are working now remotely that we need to find like a community incubation for our work to leave the sustainability of impact in the ground, to not rely on the point staff that they have experience in the camp management on all the time. So for that, we are using always community-based approach in the camps, that also supporting one of the pillars of this CM, that the community participation. Recently now, we are working most of our activities also, and this training is remote. Before we were implementing the training face to face, but now we are implementing, and we designed most of our interventions to be remotely internet-based intervention, with some of field visits, not all the time because of COVID-19. For Syria now, for the northwest of Syria, until this moment, there is no confirmed cases in COVID-19 in the northwest of Syria. But we are afraid that if there is one case, so there is big disaster will happen, because there is low quality of health, low quality, low services of the health services. There is no awareness for the people of COVID-19. There is no materials for isolation. So all of these reasons, there is many reasons that affect us to separate the COVID-19 in the north of Syria. So for that, we built some of protection issues for the beneficiaries and for the staff to support, to continue implementing the project, to find like a midway between working from home, like remotely, and working in the field, and also still implementing the project to give the beneficiaries the services that they needed. So for that, usually we are implementing the capacity building inside Syria. For we have two categories. The first category is the NGOs or humanitarian workers or the local actors, and the second category is the ITBs or refugees in the camps. Of course, here we have separate methods of work. We have separate implementation methodologies and meter system, of course. In the NGOs, when we are starting making the trainings, we will provide the trainings. We have like organization capacity assessment. That it's very detailed as a tool that we are working on it to have the findings of the organization, what they need, like intervention for capacity development, then to design together the implementation of capacity building, and um, and this is the most efficient way. Sometimes we are working remotely. We are not working all the time face to face, and sometimes not working face to face. And even though in the face to face materials, when you are developing for the NGOs, it's not the same for the remotely one. For the IDBs, the face-to-face methods that the method that we are using before 5 years, around 5 years, we are using the face-to-face training for the people because the people who's in the camps, they are jobless. They are seeing that it's opportunity for them to join this training, even though it's camp management training or sphere training. Point as usual, we are working most of our programs in the camps, even though early recovery, livelihood, supporting the small business. But but for the method of implementing the trainings, we make it like a face-to-face. So also the people have interesting in attending the trainings to carry out like the certificate that it seeks this opportunity to find a job, even though it's voluntary jobs, even though it's temporary work or just cash training, cash for training. But at the same time, the refugees and the IDPs in the camps, they are most active people that I can face. So they always have many ideas, innovative ideas to respond to the crisis. The women, they are more too much active. They want to respond for the family needs, to support the others' teams. So when making the face-to-face trainings, they give us a very opportunity to learn from them also. Remotely, when we are using the remotely training for the refugees, here we develop like a special plan for Syria, for the northwest of Syria, like alternative plan to delivering our training. We put on our consideration many challenges. One is those challenges is the internet, that not always the IDPs have internet. There is wireless network in Syria that we are developed in this one in Syria, that in the camp there is wireless internet network that people can charge it by vouchers, but not all the people have money to buy the vouchers. So we designed our programs to include the voucher of internet to distribute it for the beneficiaries. We have one of the challenges that the people have a lack of knowledge of using the internet apps. So we also mitigate these challenges. We have one of the challenges is dealing with the camp committees and how we can forming camp committees because who will attend the training. So also we find like a solutions based on our experience and working with the community to find this way. So I want to try to explain more now the implementation mechanism of our online training that we are providing for the camps by details. And if anyone have a question, maybe we can discuss it in the end of sessions or presentation. When we starting the online training for the beneficiaries, for the IDPs, especially for CCCM programs, and especially to attend CCCM training, sphere training, committee mobilization, to be like a former committees. And within the COVID-19, we are now working the anointing the registration for the training with the clear selection criteria to be shared on social media on all camps that we are working. Social media now, the people inside the camps, they have groups in Facebook or on WhatsApp. So once we share any training or any selection criteria, the camp management groups or the groups in the camps, they will share it directly by their Facebook groups. So the people using a lot social media, it's one of the ways that the IDBs can be aware of the news that outside of the camps, and also to understand what's happening in the camps. So we are rely on the social media now, not we are rely on the face-to-face distribution or putting the panels or the registrations in the camp management office. So using the social media. Second one, we conducting some of advocacy visits by the field staff to explain the project idea and the activities to the local authorities to can make like engagement with them and to see how we can cooperate together, not to face like a problem in the implementation or how or to not make any challenges in implementation. So here we forced to go to the camps and make some off-field visits just for the local authorities coordination and some of other actors or international NGOs is working in the camps. Once we're receiving the registration request from the people who is inside the camp, we make the filtrations based on the criteria for selecting the trainees for each camp. The field team, they will conduct also some of visits and meetings with the selected trainees to explain more the project work. Here we put it on our mind the COVID-19 mitigation plan that to not make meetings with the people who selected. We will make 1-to-1, maybe we make 2-to-1, so to not make it a big event. Sometimes we will also make it the implementation by Skype calls or WhatsApp calls, whatever, to can inform the selected participants of the project and what's the mechanism of implementation, especially for the training. At the same time, our trainers who's working with us, we will recording training materials. They will record around the session will be around 20 minutes. That and supporting by our communication outreach team, that we will design like a small videos. Each video around 2 minutes or 1.5 minutes. But the total videos that we will send it by WhatsApp, it's for one session. The session will be around 20 minutes. Why we are using this method? Because the most people who is using the in Syria. Why Syria? I want to discuss or when I talk why in Syria. In Syria, the people using a lot WhatsApp, but in Iraq, for example, we have the same method of implementation. In Iraq, they are using a lot the Viber application, not they are using WhatsApp. So when we try to make it the same mechanism in Iraq, we face that the people don't have WhatsApp. They do not have WhatsApp. They are not using. So we reach them by Viber. So in Syria, we are working with them in WhatsApp. So all the recorded videos that we will separately by video by subfolders, and the total videos that will be in each session is around 20 minutes. Here we will put it on the flash memory and distribute it to the selected trainees to avoid any technical problem. In addition, on this one, we will deliver the training like direct online training for them. that the people will invite it for the trainings. We will sign with them like commitment letter that all the online training sessions will attend it, and to also to see what their rights, what our rights, what the objective of the training, and why we are making this training for the camp management issues. So once we sign the commitment letters by all selected participants or trainees, we will start on the on creating WhatsApp coordination group for each group. Here we will share also the same trainings, the same videos that we have it separately and share it before in the flash memory on the WhatsApp, and the quality of the videos that supporting the WhatsApp to share it, to receive or to send it to the participants. The training here we will assign by trainers who we make with them. Also, we make for them like awareness how to use the most efficient training online training application, and how you can design your materials, and how you can deliver the trainings by online material, by online applications. So here the training will start, and we ensure the quality of the training is conducted in the mobile applications or on the online applications. Most of the trainings will be around 5 days, and the day of the training will be around 4 hours. In each sessions or in the day of in the round of the training will be around 12 to 50 participants in each training rounds. Based on our experience, that is we see it the most efficient way to make it the people around between 12 to 15, to have all the people space to express their feedback, questions, and sometimes we have some of difficulty in the people to sign or to join the platform. So the trainer sometimes needs to repeat the information. Here to saving times, that 12 to 15 people is a good time to deliver the training between half an hour to 45 minutes, based on the material that I shared before. Once we finish the training, we will select the best trainees who's in the training. For that, you said before, we are signing with them that you are to know why we are in the training and what's the result of the training, what we will do. So the best trainees will come from the training. We will assign them to be like community committees members. Selection will be based on their reputations in the camps. They will be based on the pre and post trainings. Will be based on the commitment of the training and adhering the training terms and conditions. We have some of that in the trainings to receive like some of ideas or projects from the trainees. So here we will receive, we will see the quality of the project that we will receive it, and to ensure the knowledge of the training delivered for the participants. In the terms of in the TUR signing, we will say also that we will pay for the trainees the cash allowances. That cash allowances to that matching the criteria of attendance and commitment. Cash allowances, it can be benefit to can use it for internet vouchers, to use it to charge their electric devices when they have it like subscription for generators. So the cash allowances to mitigate what we have to what we can do for the harm for the beneficiaries. And once we finish and selected all the basic trainings, here we will sign like a TUR with voluntary community committees. These community committees will We will meet the compliances and regulations as the camp committees representatives. They will work to support the camp management in the camps. And because in the camps there is some of assigned people for the local authorities to be like a camp managers, on some of key members in the community that also be like consultation committees for the camp managers. For that, when we're making the coordination with the local authorities, that we have already the green light for them to establish the voluntary committee that will support the camp participation, will support the camp management in solving many issues. Also, we will supporting the implementation of many activities that we will do it, not even point for other stakeholders or NGOs in the camps. Here, forming more and more the structure of committee participation by the online training that we do. To support the online training, also we have some of field visits that we will do it here for the committees and in the camps that are already targeted. We hope when we finish the trainings that COVID-19 we don't have any risk or to not make any mitigation for the camps for COVID-19. But at the same time, we put in our consideration the materials that the field staff they can use it to protect themselves for COVID-19, even though from now up to next 3 months. To can implement this training, we have some of activities or approach we design it with our media, our communication department. That at the first we increase our social media activities in general, not just for the training. Here we make it more increasing, like we make another online sessions that talking about the practical issues for the people inside Syria, how to work on freelancing, how to be like entrepreneurs, whatever. Why we are increasing the social media to increase the interactive of the IDPs for our posts, to aware more on our programs and how we are working. So once we sharing the selection of the training or the project information to be aware about it, to receive more and more IDPs applications. Also, we are designing like infographics, all the videos and the learning videos that we will distribute it for all participants. It will be designing with our media and communication department. We will support the participants in purchasing or distributing for them or link with them to vendors for internet cards to ensure that the participants are attending the training on time, to not have any lack of financial issues or lack in communication issues. We're also supporting the online training, like we said before, and the WhatsApp group. The WhatsApp group here facilitating by the communication and our outreach team, and sharing in additional flyers, brochures, important information that they can share it with the people, of course, in Arabic. In addition to other videos that can be benefit for them. To mitigate the lack of knowledge of the people of how to using the internet apps, we will assign 1 or 2 people who have technical experience in how to communicating with the IDPs, and who has before experience in the online apps to support the participants in entering and using the apps and receiving the internet in the most efficient way. We will try to be these people who will be in the field level, not in our team. Not always in our team they are in the camps. So our mission here to find and the communication of this team, they will support more these people who are signing them in the camps to support the other participants. We will also covering the project activities in media coverage and share it with the committee in the results that what they are doing, what is important, some of pictures, some of videos designing for the participants how they are attending the training. So here more to encourage them and to see they will be happy actually sometimes when we see their faces in the some of shared videos that it's respecting their privacy and send it to them on the WhatsApp group. Um, we have also making games actually to ensure that the training knowledge arrived. We make before games paper-based games distributed for the people in the tents and whatever that you can use now. You can use it now and invest their time in COVID-19 to practice their knowledge. We have the similar experience before 3 years. We do it game for community participation. It's like the Monopoly one. We make it and distribute it for the people, and we receive very good feedback. So we will try to make like the same games for them to practice their knowledge, and also distributing flyers or banners or what we have to them to remind them what's the important of the important messages of the training that we are doing. To ensure the training that delivered in most efficient and in the high quality way, we have some of monitoring and evaluation frameworks we do it. Like at the first, because we are targeting now in our program around 100 camps, so we develop our data management system and information system. That how because we will receive a huge data. This data will coming by daily feedback or whatever we have also from the program department. So at the first we designed our data management system to avoid any problems in the data management or in data quality. For the monitoring evaluation framework, one of the activities we're doing the CAMS capacity assessment. In the assessment here, we are see the capacity of the camps in doing the committees and the camp IDPs knowledge of the training that we will provide it to them, in their morals and their habits and how they can communicate with them. So to ensure the communication way is correct, to ensure the accountability mechanism with them, to ensure the camp's needs for the community participation and support them in camp management toolkits, and to ensure to not have any problems like harm for their habit or more. Then, if when the training will happen and the program program team start implementing the training, we will have like a contacting 2-minute call. The calls will be for each trainee. The duration of the call will be around 2 minutes. Here to ensure the training marks that between pre and post, and to ensure also they have the knowledge of the training by some of the questions we will ask them during the minutes, because we cannot make the field visit now for the camps to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. Also, we will work on that indicator tracking table. Indicator tracking tables here we will update it by weekly or by monthly base. The indicator tracking table will link with the means of verifications that we will receive it and review it by the program team, by the meal team. So our M&E department here will review all the papers to see the means of verification matching our quality standards, and then to share with our partners, donors, and even with the beneficiaries the verified number that attended training. So here to ensure that we are working on tracks on the programs, also all in the training. We have also, when making the training, we have some of forms related to the daily feedback on the sessions, what the most important things, what they need to improve, and we have final evaluation as well for the training. If we have any main concerns or many important issues, we receive it in the daily feedback or final evaluation. We are not waiting the MID-E department to finish all the reporting. They can send directly flash report or flash email for the program side or for our area manager, or for it's based on what we concerns that we have it. So it's here directly we send a flash report with some recommendations to can improve our quality and accountability. We will make also some of monthly visits or monthly visits or calls with committees after they form in the camps. So to ensure their work, they are implementing the knowledge they have. They are communicating with the camp management in an appropriate way. They have some of activities. They have they are using the tools we share with them. So the MID-E department needs to ensure the quality of training that they receive it. They are using when they finish the training. Of course, the MLE department holds they are making monthly reports and on what happens in the month, and to share it with the management team or with the donors or whatever. For accountability, we're designing our intervention, as we said in the first thing. It's based on the community needs and based on the community participation. So even though when we're making committees, so before the committees formals, we are asking the committees what's the best way to formalizing the committees, and to also not have any problems in the current regulations and the local authorities inside Syria. So also to ensure our access to the accounts, to not have any harm for the project. We collect that feedback, and we listen for them, and we have our CRM compliance recording mechanism that we have it, that we receive it and reply for any feedback we receive it or compliance within specific time based on our policy. We're tracking all feedback or complaints that we receive it on our database, and following up the response from the program team or the department that should receive and response for them until the complaint is solved and the close. We're working on the international standards like the CCCM standards or Sphere or whatever. Here we are using these standards to ensure the quality, to ensure the indicators, the program design based on the international standards, and also the program design based on the needs on the ground. Our accountability mechanism also to ensure that all stakeholders accepting us, not have any problem with them, or do not have any mistakes or miscommunications. So we're ensuring this one by field visits, a lot of field visit calls, informing the local authorities about our programs, and we have the transparency in all our work, in our, even though for the operation side, logistics side, or for the program implementation. The accountability here we are doing not just for the meal department, it's for all our organization work, not specifically for the meal department. And this is my application, this is my presentation. Any questions? Sorry, maybe I was a little bit quick. I don't know if I was fast or no.
Thank you so much. That was really interesting, and there were really a lot of very practical inputs that people that are now facing constraints in accessing the field can take on in their own operation as tips, as inspiration from your side and from the Syria response. Please feel free to write in the chat any questions you have for Mamdouh. From our side, a question that was collected when we launched the CCCM webinar series is which digital solutions are transforming the way humanitarian response supports better access to services by affected population? So especially those who are already affected by previous crises and are displaced. So in your opinion, what are the digital solutions that are transforming our way of operating in the field? Mamdouh, over to you.
Yeah, okay. Actually, the digital solutions, digital solutions, it's for two kinds of interventions we are making. The digital solutions, it's for our team at the first to support the remotely working. So we are using actually Microsoft apps like Planner, Tasker, Organizer, and the Teams application. So we are using this one for our staff. For the beneficiaries, as I said within my presentation, we see the most easy application for the beneficiaries, because not all the beneficiaries who have laptops or have tablets. So we cannot tell to them that we will use, for example, the WebEx or Zoom or whatever. So for that, we see that the WhatsApp application is most of the application is the easiest one that the participant can use it and deliver the training for them. And also we can make it a business account for WhatsApp that ensuring the professionality always. We are not thinking now to increase the digital applications now, especially with the beneficiaries. Also because the internet inside Syria, there is internet, but the speed of internet not allow them to use it or to use all their package of internet just for the training. So we see that the most now practical way we can say that by using the WhatsApp.
Great. Thanks a lot. There might be a technical issue with the chat, and we are trying to solve it now. I have another question for you, Mamdouh, from a CCCM practitioner operating in Africa. And he or she is interested to know what are the best practice and innovative approaches that you can share to your colleagues that are operating in Africa.
Especially for online training, you are asking here, yeah?
Yes, from on the way how you conduct your remote training.
Yeah.
What could be the most useful lesson learned and best practice to share with colleagues operating in other contexts?
One of the issues that we see at the first, we see the internet infrastructure in the targeted areas. I can provide two examples that Syria, not the same in Iraq. What's happening in Syria? As we said, there is innovative ideas, actually innovative project inside Syria, because the northwest of Syria there is no internet who's provided from Damascus. The internet is provided by some of lines from Turkey or some lines of digital or satellite internet. So there is a private companies who make wireless networks, who put satellites, who make coverage for the area and internet. Just internet. There is no call. There is no phone coverage at all in the northwest of Syria from 7 years or 8 years. For that, the people who innovated this area to governing the people in the camps in internet. So we use these issues. So the first one, to check the communication on internet infrastructure, because in Iraq we try to make it, but in Iraq the communication or the internet platform in the camps that we are targeting, it's too much. So they don't have the fully access for the internet, and they don't. And even though the cost is too much expensive, there is coverage, but it's too much expensive for our programs also to make it. So for that, we see the alternative way is the innovative way to make a recording um, videos and making infographic videos that will be easy for the people also in the camps to understand it. Not all the people who's in the camps who can read or write. So for that, in our videos that I can share some of videos that we have it. It's most likely of the infographics and voice recording in Arabic with the clear pronunciation of our of Arabic letters, so the people can understand it and aware about it. So the first one, internet infrastructure. Second thing is to design infographics, videos that matching the people knowledge and education. Third one, my recommendation is to hire trainers from the field staff from the same area who can provide like an example in the trainings from the field to can for the IDPs see the trainings or the examples or the examples from the same context they have. One last thing maybe is to make advocacy messages with the local actors or the local authorities also to support the implementation of the training and to see how we can make social cooperation contribution from the internet providers to support these issues of training. Because in Syria, we are talking for more than 400 camps, more than 1 million who's living now in the camps. In Iraq, there is different method of implementation, of course, because the camps is limited number in Iraq or in Yemen also.
Thanks a lot. So we have some question coming up in the chat. So I'm going to ask you this question from our participant. Kate is asking about the online trainings. Do you do this using a video conference application? And if you're using WhatsApp, can you explain a bit more how you're using your WhatsApp and how are your trainers able to encourage participation during the training session on WhatsApp? Or if you rather mostly deliver your training session in a lecture mode?
Yeah. As I said here in our communication outreach team, maybe to open it, I think the WhatsApp is here sharing the information of the training materials that we will share it with them, and ensure the coordination of the training. But for the online platform, as we said here, we will assign like two people just to support the ITB, to can enter for the internet apps that we will use. Might be using Zoom or might using video call for Skype or most. I think we will use Zoom now because the people now more they are use it it's installed on phone call on their phones, and it's easy to use, not hard. And even though it's heavy, it's not heavy on the internet users. So most likely we will use Zoom for the training, for the communication, coordinations, and even though sharing the training materials on WhatsApp.
And just to also ask a follow-up question from Kate, and also something that Frank asked in our chat. How do you cope with connectivity issue, and what is the platform in your experience that works better when you have low bandwidth and poor connectivity?
Yeah, at first, hi Frank. We met before, Frank. I'm happy to receive these questions. The alternative plan is, as I said, it's the recorded learning training materials that we will make it before the starting of training. So it's the first one. It's the alternative plan that we like into plan B backup to share it by the WhatsApp. For the bandwidth for online training, here when we will broadcast the internet cards inside Syria. We can ask the internet providers to increase the internet speeds of the during the trainings, especially for this people who have these cards with the same vouchers that we have it for them. So it's in Syria and the northwest of Syria, it's accessible. These issues we can do it, and it's easy when we signing any agreement with the internet provider. Also, why we are using Zoom we are using for these issues, because now, as I said, when our communication outreach team, we making a lot of social media activities. We making a lot of online sessions, especially for the northwest Syria training areas. So we're using Zoom, and many people who are attending the training, because they are using Zoom as the most friendly application now in Syria. They use it. So we're trying to use that application. It's most used and friendly by the IDPs in Syria.
Great, thank you so much. We have other questions. Huda is asking, what are the criteria you are using to select trainees that you mentioned briefly in your slides? What is your minimum and maximum number? And she is asking also, for example, on infographic and videos. So maybe we can already agree that if you send me some example of the infographic and videos that you are using, I'm going to share with the all attendees at the end of the webinar.
Yeah, of course, I can, and now I can share some of video if you need, like briefly I can describe it in Arabic what we have, if we have time.
No, it's okay. I think we can share it with the participants later, and now we can proceed with the second presentation before we run out of time. Okay.
Of course. I want to share.
We might get back to you with other questions that we're asking our chat later.
I'm happy for it.
Great. Okay, so it's now time to give the floor to our second speaker, Emmanuel. As I introduced her before, Emmanuel is going to talk about the open learning platform disasterready.org and how we can utilize this platform whenever access is not possible to the field. Over to you, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. This the irony for me, as I work for a tech company, is that I am obviously confined in my home in Paris, and somehow my internet is not enough, so I can talk to you and share my slides. So I will start to just the voice.
Yes, we can try with the voice. And as Emmanuel had already prepared a presentation that unfortunately we cannot share with you for low connectivity, we are going to share this with you when we circulate also MAP2 presentation as well as the webinar recording.
All right, thank you, and everyone. But I think it's a good illustration of the challenges we all face, and not just in remote locations, as well, or maybe Paris has become a remote location as well. So anyway, and as we say, and I am the Partnership Development Manager and our initiative, disasterready.org. Maybe some of you already know the platform, and I will tell you more about it in the next, I think we have about 20 minutes, 15 minutes, if we want to leave time for the question.
Yes, it's fine, 15 minutes is fine.
And I can see a comment that the voice is not clear. I'm really sorry. We've tried so many solutions, so I'm going to try to speak loud and slow. And Uda, let us know if it's still not clear. So has been set up by the company Cornerstone On Demand, which is a talent management software company. So, you know, if we compare to what Mamdou has shared with us, and a very strong with the operational implementation of, you know, solution to face limited access to the provider solution, obviously with the previous presentation, that it's not always, you know, the solution for any issue. So we are providing one tool amongst many others. I'm thankful for the previous presenter, because it really gives the perspective. Oh, and I can see you still have to hear me. Okay.
Emmanuel?
Let me.
I think we are not, we're definitely not lucky, and we're really giving a live demonstration on how difficult it is to work remotely and host such events remotely at this time. We can try to give it a little bit more time. In the meantime, I can go ahead with my presentation and see maybe if you can also interact with me and add your experiences on certain points that I think will be very, very useful for the audience and for the people that are in attendance of the event. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so I'll also have a few slides for you on behalf of the Capacity Development Working Group. So I'm going to briefly explain what we develop in terms of guidance note for remote capacity building activities. And I'm really happy to take your questions at the end, as well as to also add some inputs that I know Emmanuel would have shared with us if all the connectivities would have allowed. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen with you as soon as I have the presenter power from the office.
Hello?
Yes?
Yeah, it's working?
So I think it's still with Emmanuel.
1 second, we're going to try to switch over to you, Elena. It's a bit delayed.
No worries.
Oh. Hello? Hello?
Yes?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you
Yeah.
hearing me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Great. Yeah. So, yeah. I lost you for 1 minute. So when you're saying Mamdouh, I lost
Okay.
you.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, internet connection is still weak. So I'm going ahead with my presentation, and then we're going to take a few more questions at the end. So bear with us in case there are more questions for you.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Okay, so I'm going to share my presentation. Yes, I'm going to share it now. All right. So in order to support CCCM practitioner during this time where many of us can't access the field anymore or can access the field as much as we used to do in the past before the spread of COVID-19, we try to put together a guidance note with the aim of supporting CCCM practitioner in remote capacity development, and provide tips and ideas on how to continue to provide capacity building activities, mentoring and coaching for field staff and affected communities, how to adapt them to situation where access to displacement site is not possible, in order to allow us to keep on delivering life-saving activities and strengthen our operational capacity. We structured the document around remote trainings and webinars. So I'm going to go through a few main tips with you, and we're going also to share the full guidance note at the end of the webinar, together with the recording as well as the other speakers' presentation. So in terms of remote training, we take into consideration not only a situation where you have to train your staff or you have to train communities, but the fact that when our access to the field is limited, we might have to retrain our camp teams in order to shift responsibility and operational tasks from one team member to the other and ensure regular delivery of activities. Of course, when in-person trainings are not an option, the trainer must consider that communication dynamics will change, and the trainer will have to adapt its delivery to different methodologies. We also need to always consider that adults learn primarily through experiences. So when we design this guidance note, we had in mind tips on how to maintain trainings as participatory as possible. So the first tip we have and suggestion we have, of course, is adopt a participatory approach. So when we are delivering remote trainings, we should always keep things practical and scientific. So an idea in this case would be to assign members of your teams to mentor one another, so that when you are retraining your team and shifting responsibility from one another, the trainees directly can participate to the learning experience and mentor and pass their knowledge to their team members. Another good way to keep things participatory is to mix methodologies. So, for example, mix remote training session on Skype, on WhatsApp, with individual assignments. The assignments should not be heavy, should not look like homework for your target group. You should use, for example, or share brief documents, videos, to be revised before your remote training session, and then kick off the remote training session, asking participants what are their thoughts about what you share, how what you share is applicable to their context. It's always good when you share the individual assignments to also share a couple of questions that will guide the reflection of your target group on the specific document and assignments that you're sharing with them. So what the video that you share with them makes them think about the context where they work. How can they adapt guidelines that you share with them to the context where they work, to the camps where they work. And another possible idea to methodology would mix e-learning with remote training session. So unfortunately, internet connection was weak, but she was about to talk about a playlist that has been developed by disasterready.org that would support remote management and humanitarian aid workers that are now in the position to deliver activities and services remotely. So on top of this playlist, at disasterready.org, you can find many other trainings and workshops that you could, for example, mix with a remote training session. You could ask your target group to take an online training of a couple of hours, and then follow the online training with a remote training session, for example, on WhatsApp, on Skype, to make them contextualize what they learn during the e-learning session. When you plan your webinar as well as when you implement it, because we always have to adapt while we are conducting our trainings, is to find the right balance for your capacity development activities, considering your training objectives as well as your target group. So a few things that has also been shared with us by Mahmoud is a professional session with limited number of participants. As Mahmoud say, they don't have sessions that are longer than 4 hours per day, as well as they keep their participants between 12 to 15. So reduce your number of participants will also help you improving participation. Use breakout session to conduct group works. There are many platforms, including Zoom or video facilitator, that support the creation of breakout section during your event. And you can use the breakout session to redirect your target groups into smaller groups where they could still do group work, group discussion, and then debrief to the plenary. We talk about connectivity a lot, and of course, connectivity is one of the criteria we have to consider when we choose the right platform for our remote training. One tip is to consider telecommunication platform like Skype or WhatsApp, of course, the most widely known, but also the use of social media, other social media, and generally think outside the box. So it's not just Skype or WhatsApp. As Mamdou say, they are using social media a lot to engage with their trainee, for example. So consider to use Facebook or TikTok that allow you to make and edit short videos that can then later be shared with your target group. Mix good different platforms could also be a good way to avoid connectivity issues as to keep your training very consistent. A Skype session with your team could be accompanied by a share file to log in and track the assignments, or to a share folder where the team designated to access the field every day could hand over to the colleague that is going to take over from him or her the next day. And definitely be mindful of your target group, different technology expertise and impediments. So we already heard a lot on the ways that Point is using in Syria to support their trainees, distributing, for example, flash drive with useful material for the training, or distributing internet cards to improve connectivity. So be mindful of the equipment that you'll have to distribute to your target groups. Consider, of course, which platform works better with low connectivities, but generally also which platform works better depending on your needs. For example, which platform supports breakout session and which one doesn't. And always involve your target group on what would be their preferences. There might be a social media that they are using more because connectivity allows them to use it more, or just because it's more common in their target group. So involve your target group on determining what is the best platform and methodology to deliver the training. And of course, monitor and evaluate, even when the training happens remotely, will give you the opportunity to verify the transfer of knowledge as well as adjust your methodology. Of course, you can use online survey to evaluate the transfer of knowledge during pre and post tests. They can be easily done through, for example, SurveyMonkey. Or you can have individual follow-up with the participants. Point before told us that they have individual phone calls with their trainees. So that could be also a good way to evaluate the transfer of knowledge and monitor how they practically use what they learn. Of course, to evaluate the training as such, you can also consider launching a pool where you can see results at real time. And then webinars, as you can see now, these are effective methodology for discussion that are focused on a specific topic and involve different speakers. What's good is that they can be recorded and you can later use them or incorporate them into other different capacity development activities. For example, as an assignment, that will be then follow up by a remote online training session. The first big tip is to plan your webinars. Of course, planning is the key for every successful capacity development initiative. We all know that, and these are some things that you might want to consider. So choose the best method to announce the webinar based on your target group. Email contact list might be the best way or might be not the best way. So for example, if you know that your target group is a specific group or blog on social media, this could also be a good way to announce your learning event. Again, consider in advance what would be the best platform, depending on connectivity, on bandwidth, but also on the different features that the platform will offer to you. So, for example, is the platform accessible on phones or tablets? Does it support breakout rooms, and so on and so forth? Generally, consider to kick off your webinar with general information slide and explaining ground rules and how to ask questions. Make it interactive. Of course, this is the best way to help your participants to retain the knowledge. Will be passed by the speakers during the webinar. A good way to maintain engagement, if you have a relatively small number of participants, is to keep their camera on, because you can monitor engagement level, as well as it's easier to be kept interested in the webinar flow. For larger group, of course, online polling or survey are a good option to involve participation during presentation, which is of function and stimulate the share of questions, but also of experiences from the participants. Run breakout session as per the trainings will also help you make the webinar more interactive. Monitor, evaluate for your activities. So I'm done, and I'm really happy to take your questions and to try to answer them with Mabdou and Manuel. I can see any question, but let me check the chat now, because I was on presenter mode, so I couldn't really see.
The chat mainly, I don't know if you hear me, but the chat is mainly my input that were echoing what you were saying, Elena. But yes, I can see a message from Ingrid that said that the chat was actually disabled for the attendees.
Oh, that's really that was not really our plan, so we're sorry for that. I can see the chat now, so maybe if you had questions that couldn't be sent before, feel free to resend them now. Emmanuel,
if I can bounce back, maybe it's indeed a good way, because you're making your participant already, think about what will be discussed, and maybe, what I would recommend is not necessarily sharing everything, but maybe key point that go back again during your session, but where you can then go deeper or have questions, but so you can share some top-level information or some questions for them to think about, so they can come prepared and make the conversation and the exchange much richer. So that's a bit linked to what one tip I was giving that some of our partners are doing when they have onboarding session or student activity. Select a few learning resources on disaster ready. They can take it, and then when they meet, they can really, again, it's about discussing what it means for them in their context. How do they, trying at the beginning to say when my question good is some of the content that you might find on disaster ready or other resources might not always be, really fitting the context or even the cultural. So, no, you take what's out there and then you make it your own discussing with your, whether it's meeting member or your staff, but, you know, really saying, okay, what do you make of it? Does that talk to you? How to make it relevant for our context? So not only you have the learning is coming from everyone in the virtual or the real room, but, you know, it will be much more so they can really adapt and adopt that much better. I hope it helps addressing. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And we're going to share with your presentation also some useful links to different playlists on Disaster Ready, so that also the participant can take a look and see if and what would be the best heat rating to mix with other methodologies for the context where they work. Mamdouh, I have a couple of more questions for you. So
Yes, I'm ready.
Great. How do you share? How do you select your target groups? And if you have more details to give us on how you can develop your video editing skills for colleagues that might not have a media department advanced as yours is.
Yeah. Actually, the first part is the selection criteria. Selection criteria, now we are talking about the project that we will deliver training for the IDPs to be part of the camp committee. So the criteria is to be the people who have vision and how we can manage the camp, their reputation. So we are making like checking for their applications with the stakeholders, the community leaders. One of our criteria that he is in the camp in most than 6 months, because in Syria the people may have displacement 3 times or 4 times, so they are in the camps more than 6 months, or sometimes when we are increasing the selection criteria, we make it for more than 1 year. We are put on selection criteria that to be the selection based on gender balance. Also, the committees, they have to have all the people genders. Also, if we have also disabilities, we are putting the selection criteria. Also, there is priority for the for disabilities persons and for women. We have also one of selection criteria is to have commitment to be part of the committee and the participant all the training that we will provide for them. That's what I remember. There is also a lot of selection criteria I can share with you.
Mm-hmm.
But to remind all that selection criteria, this one for the people who are interested to be in the camp committee, yeah, and to be in like to support the camp management mechanism of work that we said. So there is some of the selection criteria, also additional criteria I can share with you all.
Great. There's a question, I guess, regarding my presentation on the use of camera and the fact that this might also overload the internet connection. This is very true. Unfortunately, there are no perfect solutions, but you can list the pros and cons of the different solutions that you have. So one would be to maybe have smaller groups and keep the camera on and have more than one session keeping the camera on if you think that this is a good way to engage with your target group. Another one would be, as Mamdouh said, to support the technical problems that your target group might be facing through the distribution of the Wi-Fi, portable Wi-Fi devices, for example, or just supporting 3G connectivities with airtime. So the best way would be to list different pros and cons of the solution that you have in your context based on your target group.
Exactly. I can add something. In Syria, we cannot make it the camera on, not because for the internet, actually for the morals and the habits of the community. It's not acceptable that the woman turn on now the camera, not because the woman don't need one, because some of regulation is to the local authorities actually. So we are respecting this one. So we are not ask the people to turn on the camera. We put it like the alternative plan or to ensuring by the mail department, like I said, to arrange 2 minutes call. The call will be 2 minutes to ensure the knowledge of the people who are participating from the training. Also, the recap videos that I can share now, one of the infographics videos that to give the participants the important messages that to be shared with him. Also, some of pre and post tests that we will do it. In addition to the technician person that will be in the field.
Great, thank you. We have also a question from Ingrid that we left for the end of the webinar, and it's, I guess, for both of us. She's pointing out that in the context where she works, so Bangladesh Cox's Bazar, the government has cut off network from the refugee camp. So what would be, or what is methodology that Point is using in this case where there is no connectivity, then we cannot rely on WhatsApp and Skype and the different social media platforms that we listed before?
Oh, great. It's based on their access, if they have access to the camps or not. If they have the access, maybe we can use the same way of the same method that put all the files on flash memory and distribute it for all the people who's in the camps or who should attend the training. But the way of the training, methods of the videos that we should be, it's like programmatic one, like it's just the click for the mouse, and we have like not a presentation, it's like a self-learning program that make it click next when we finish something and ask them on some questions to go to the next one. So it's one of the ideas, and it's a good that in the beginning of the training that we put some of instruction that in the end of this materials, when you finish it, you will have like electronic certificates directly will come up for you. So we designed before in Syria, when I were in Syria, because there is no internet in 2010, I'm talking about, because there is no a good internet. We developed like with UNDP program in my previous work, like a learning program. It's just to put it on flash memory. Once you put the flash memory on laptop, directly will start like self-learning program. It's for the entrepreneurship trainings that's talking about the main instructions. So when you finish from each sectors, it's like a presentation, but in an interactive way. You have to answer for some of the questions to go to the next one. And when you finish everything, there is a real test. When you finish from the test, you will generate for your certificates. And the same things, we do it like a Save Children. We make some initiative for promoting more project management. Also, they made like the same programmatic way, and it was useful. Yeah, so I think it's a good, it's one of the solutions that they can use it in the camps to share it with me. Last one, if they can print the training materials and send it to them. It's the old one, but because there is no internet, they can print it and distribute it for them and design like the distance learning methods that some of university use it. They're sending the materials, the books, whatever, and give you like a list of questions. The question it will be based on research. You have to do it and write your answer like from your experience, not from the books. So once you finish, the NGO can collect the materials and the answers on the test and then correct it. Because in this way, not all the people will using the same answers because it's based on their experience and the knowledge they got it.
Great, thank you. I really like how you mentioned that when we can share with them directly the material using the platform that we mentioned, whenever we have even just limited access to one staff, we can still bring the training material to them. And, and the videos and the infographics that we develop to them and work around the constraints that we are facing at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. I believe we were able to answer all the questions that were shared in the chat. We are, because there were a lot of questions on example of infographic and videos from points. We will also make sure to share some example with you together with Mamdouh presentation and also, of course, Emmanuel presentation and all the resources that she shared with us on the chat. Before closing, and of course, saying thank you for your participation, I just want to remind you about the CCCM Tuesdays webinar series. Sorry. So as you can see, there were 2 events that took place already. The first one was a special event on the 2nd on operationalized standards, fear and COVID-19 response in camp setting. And I linked here in my presentation the recording of the event. So you can also have a look in case you didn't attend. Last Tuesday, the participation working group hosted a webinar on community engagement and participation during the response to COVID-19 in camps and camp-like setting. And I also linked here the recording of the webinar, so you can have a look if you're interested. Below, you can see the next webinars in agenda. Of course, the one that took place today, and we're going to share with you the recording as soon as it will be made available. And the next webinar, for your information, will be next Tuesday, so on the 21st of April. And it will be organized by the Area-Based Approach Working Group. And they will discuss with different speakers on sharing of experiences with adapting communities, resource centers, activities to CCCM outside of camp operation in light of the current COVID-19 pandemic. So how can we adapt the use that we make of the community resource center in area-based approaches and make it safe and effective during the access constraints that we have in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Here is the Blue Jeans link to join the event. So put it in your calendar. It will be next Tuesday. And I really want to say thank you for your participation. you can send me a link to this. You can send me an email to this link or to my personal email. You can also visit the Capacity Development Working Group webpage on the CCCM Global Cluster website. And I also linked here the COVID-19 research page that has been set up by the CCCM Global Cluster, where you can find useful resources related to COVID-19 and how we can adapt our response in camp. Thank you very much. It was really nice to have you today, and I apologize for the connectivity issues that we had. Please feel free to send me any questions that was not answered, and we'll make sure to address it to our speaker and provide a written answer if needed. Thank you very much. I want to also say thank you to Jen and Mamdou and Emmanuel that supported us in delivering so many useful information to you today. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. Thank you for your all.
See you next month and have a nice day.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.